Here's something a lot of people believe. Your grocery store quietly charges your neighborhood more or less than the one 3 miles away. The same milk, the same cereal, a different price depending on your zip code. A 9-year study of scanner data across thousands of stores says that's mostly not true. So if it's not that, why do groceries actually cost more in some places than others? The real answer is stranger, and one part of it is happening to people right now, with no connection to where they live at all. Start with the obvious theory. Economically, a store should charge more in a wealthier area, where people are less price sensitive, and less in a lower income area, where every dollar is watched closely. 2 economists actually tested this. Stefano DellaVigna at Berkeley and Matthew Gentzkow at Stanford pulled Nielsen scanner data covering more than 9,000 food stores across 64 chains, tracking 1,500 products over 9 years, from 2006 to 2014. What they found? Chains charge nearly uniform prices across locations, despite real, measurable differences in local income and price sensitivity from store to store. The theory says they should charge differently. In practice, they mostly don't. And it's not because uniform pricing is more profitable. The researchers estimate chains sacrifice 7 to 9% of potential profit by not price discriminating the way the theory predicts. The median chain leaves an estimated $16 million a year on the table. So why do it anyway, if it's leaving money behind? The researchers tested a few explanations: advertising, tacit collusion, fairness concerns, and found the strongest support for the simplest one: managerial fixed costs. Running truly individualized pricing across thousands of locations is operationally expensive and complicated, so most chains just don't bother. Which means the "your store overcharges your neighborhood" story is, for most big chains, mostly a myth. So where's the real gap actually coming from? Here's the actual driver. It's not that one store charges your zip code more. It's that different zip codes don't have access to the same kind of store at all. Look at produce pricing specifically. Compared to a matched reference price at a full-chain supermarket, produce runs 27% higher at large groceries, 37% higher at small markets, and 102% higher at convenience stores. Now connect that to who actually shops where. About 39 million Americans, 13% of the country, live in low-income, low-access areas, more than a mile from the nearest supermarket in a city, or 10 miles in a rural area. 19 million of them, 6% of the population, have what the USDA calls genuinely limited access. Nobody has to be targeting those neighborhoods on purpose. If the only thing nearby is a small market or a convenience store instead of a full supermarket, the same item is just going to cost more there. Not because of a pricing algorithm, but because of what's actually on the shelf to buy from. A family a mile from a Kroger and a family a mile from a corner store can do everything else the same budget, same shopping habits, and still end up with meaningfully different grocery bills, purely from which building happens to be closest. And even among full supermarkets, which one you can get to matters enormously. Consumer Reports had a research firm price an identical 56-item basket across 6 U.S. cities in late 2025. Nationally, Costco ran about 21% cheaper than Walmart, but that gap wasn't consistent. In Chicago, it was 28.5%. In Virginia Beach, less than 17%. Different neighborhoods effectively have a different cheapest available option. And that option isn't the same everywhere, even before you factor in whether a Costco is anywhere near you at all. Here's the part that has nothing to do with geography at all. In December 2025, Consumer Reports and the Groundwork Collaborative ran a live investigation. 437 volunteer shoppers, 4 cities, shopping in real time on Instacart. What they found? 74% of grocery items in the study were being shown at multiple different prices to different shoppers simultaneously. The exact same item, at the exact same store, varied by up to 23% depending on who was shopping, and by an average of 7% even at the same location, at the same moment. This was happening through some of the country's biggest grocery retailers on the platform: Albertsons, Costco, Kroger, Safeway, Sprouts, Target, and the researchers estimate it could cost a household of 4, roughly $1,200 a year. 2 neighbors, same building, same order, same minute, genuinely different prices, decided by an algorithm testing what each of them would tolerate paying. Not their zip code, not their income necessarily, just whatever the model decided to try on them that day. To be fair to Instacart here, when the story broke, the company pushed back on the scariest sounding label. A spokesperson told reporters the tests were never based on personal, demographic, or individual level user data, meaning it wasn't profiling you specifically and deciding what you, personally, would tolerate. It was closer to random item level A/B testing across a small number of retail partners, run through a third-party tool called Eversight that happened to produce different prices for different shoppers as a side effect. That distinction matters, but it also isn't a full defense. Whether it's random or personalized, a shopper still has no way to know they're seeing a test price instead of the real one. And we weren't targeting you specifically. Didn't stop the FTC from opening a formal investigation, the New York Attorney General from launching its own inquiry, and members of Congress from proposing a federal law that would ban certain kinds of individualized pricing outright. One more layer, and it's a recent one. A real-time pricing index tracking roughly 150,000 stores, segmented by zip code income, found that over the past year, the biggest grocery price increases hit the lowest income band it tracks, zip codes averaging $35,000 to $50,000 a year. At a pace matching or exceeding the wealthiest zip codes in the country, rural shoppers saw grocery inflation of 7.6% over the past year, compared to 5.6% in large cities. The national inflation number everyone quotes is an average, and like most averages, it's hiding a real gap underneath. So if it's not your zip code being targeted, what's actually worth doing? A few things, based on exactly what these 4 cases point to. Since store access drives more of the gap than any single retailer's pricing, physically comparing what's near you, a warehouse club, a discount grocer, a full supermarket, matters more than trying to negotiate or outsmart anyone's store. Since delivery app pricing has been shown to vary by the minute, the same order can genuinely cost less if you check the in-store shelf price or a competing app before you check out, especially on anything expensive enough to matter. And since national inflation numbers are an average hiding real local differences, your own receipts over time are a better guide to what's happening to you specifically than any headline number. So is your grocery store secretly pricing your neighborhood? Mostly no. The data says chains actually leave money behind by keeping prices close to uniform. But the real story isn't better news. It means the gap you're feeling isn't fixed by geography at all. It's which store you can reach, an algorithm that's now under federal investigation, and inflation that isn't hitting everyone the same way. 3 real mechanisms, and only one of them has anything to do with where you live. Sources for every number in this video, the DellaVigna and Gentzkow study, the Instacart investigation, the USDA access data, are linked in the description. If you want more of these, the obvious explanation is wrong. Here's the real one. Breakdowns. Subscribe. This won't be the last time an algorithm shows up as the actual answer.